For nearly 2 decades, he was Moscow's powerful mayor. But last month, amid a dispute with the Kremlin, Yuri Luzhkov was unceremoniously dismissed. Now, in an exclusive CNN interview, he says he was sidelined so Russia's leadership could tighten its grip on power.
The presidential elections of 2012 are approaching. The authorities need the city of Moscow to support the candidate who they will propose. And they need a man from their circle as mayor of Moscow. Mayor Luzhkov is unusual, self-sufficient and independent. And they need someone who would follow the Kremlin's orders. That is why my career as Moscow mayor ended.
Okay, the Kremlin wanted their person in charge of Moscow as we approach these important elections. But you were someone the Kremlin turned to in the past. What changed? What made them decide that you were no longer a mayor they could depend on and that you would become a threat to them, a liability to them?
It would be more appropriate to ask President Dmitry Medvedev that question. The thing is that today there are two figures that can realistically count on becoming the Russian president: Vladimir Putin and Dmitry Medvedev. Medvedev was not confident enough to believe that if there is ever a competition between him and Putin in the future, the Moscow mayor would be in his favor, not Putin's.
It's no secret the mayor and the president had been at odds, most recently over the Kremlin's decision to suspend work on a controversial road through a forest near Moscow. Mayor Luzhkov wrote a newspaper article slamming the decision, criticism widely seen as undermining the president's authority.
Isn't the real reason that you publicly criticised the president, Dmitry Medvedev, that you basically broke the unwritten golden rule of Russian politics, which is that you never publicly criticise the leadership?
First of all, the mayor of Moscow has always been an independent figure throughout the past 20 years, no matter who the president was. And of course the authorities didn't like that independence.
My question is, though, do you believe that is the reason? Isn't it true that the real reason that you were fired is because you overstepped that line? You publicly criticised?
No, this is not so. The pretext for publicly spilling out this anger were the newspaper articles. They were just used as a pretext which allowed them to launch a campaign of dirt, slander and libel against the mayor of Moscow.
That campaign involved state television channels raking over long-standing allegations of corruption and incompetence in the mayor's office. But Luzhkov stubbornly refused to resign, essentially challenging President Medvedev to act. Even after his dismissal, Luzhkov, a popular veteran of Russian politics, is scathing in his criticism.
So far, unfortunately, we've seen a whole set of circumstances happening in the country on Medvedev's watch: calamities, terrorist acts, bad harvests, and so on. When he fires or reshuffles officials, proposes projects on paper, those things are being taken quite skeptically. Any initiative is good, but it must lead to actual results, which have not been happening so far.
It's powerful condemnation from a man who was until recently one of Russia's most influential political figures. In his forced retirement, it seems the former mayor is emerging as one of the Russian president's strongest critics. Matthew Chance, CNN Moscow.